Moving frozen semen around the world is a safe and effective way of updating the genetics in your farm. Using choice frozen boar semen allows a producer access to choice genetic nucleus level boars. Access to this level of genetics will keep your herd up to date with the most current genetics available from choice. In this training video, you will see examples of the equipment needed for using frozen semen and processes used for safely handling liquid nitrogen, preparing extender, thawing frozen semen, preparing the AI dose, and evaluating the prepared dose of semen. Thawing boar semen is not difficult, but the process must be followed exactly. Following the recommendations in this video will allow for your success when using frozen semen. Let's get started. We will begin with the equipment needed to successfully keep and thaw frozen boar semen. We will start with the safety equipment needed when handling liquid nitrogen. There are 4 items shown in this picture. First, the blue cryogenic gloves. These gloves prevent your hands from getting injured in case liquid nitrogen is spilled on your hands. Next are the safety glasses used to protect your eyes. Next are rubber boots to protect your feet in case of a spill. These boots should be considered as lab boots and are never worn into the farm. You must keep your lab area, including the floor, as clean as possible. Finally, there are tweezers. These tweezers are used to remove the frozen semen straws from the goblet located inside the frozen semen tank. In this picture, you see a transfer container. This container is a styrofoam box and should include a lid. Styrofoam is the perfect material to use as a transfer container because it will safely hold a small amount of liquid nitrogen as you transfer the frozen semen straws from the liquid nitrogen tank to the lab area. The next item is a scoop. This is a farm-made scoop, made from items commonly found on a farm. The scoop is used to remove a small amount of liquid nitrogen from the tank and place it into the transfer container. The first picture here is of a liquid nitrogen tank. Choice recommends a tank that will hold 6,000 to 7,000 frozen semen straws. 10 straws will be used to make 1 AI dose. The second picture is of the top of the open tank. You can see that there are 5 colored handles. At the end of each handle is the goblet, which holds the frozen semen straws. These 2 pictures are of the goblet at the end of the handle as it is pulled out of the tank. The second picture is a closer look at the top of the tank. You can see that each handle has a number next to it. You will use this number as a way to identify the goblet holding semen from a specific boar. This is a shipment list from the boar stud. On the list, it shows the boar ID, the boar's name, the genetic line of the boar, and the number of doses received. The farm team has turned this into a tank map by listing the goblet number and the color of the straw. Straws from the first M3 large white boar are in goblet number 2, and the straws are pink in color. The last boar listed is an M6 landrace boar. His straws are in goblet number 6, and those straws are blue. Use a measuring stick like this one to measure the amount of liquid nitrogen in your tank weekly. Do not allow your tank to have less than 10 centimeters of liquid nitrogen before adding more. The following video will show you the proper steps to measure the liquid nitrogen in your tank. Be sure to wear all safety equipment when measuring the amount of liquid nitrogen in your tank. After opening the tank, put your measuring stick into the middle of the tank to measure. After you have reached the bottom of the tank, pull the measuring stick out and check the depth. This tank has 20 centimeters of liquid nitrogen in the tank. You should have a chart similar to this one to record your measurement information. After measuring, record the date, the depth, and your name. This is a water bath and a digital thermometer. Choice recommends a 7-liter water bath with a lid. Tap water can be used to fill the water bath with 7 to 8 centimeters of water. The thermometer is used to continually track the temperature of the water. The water should be kept at 38 degrees Celsius. As you can see, this thermometer reads a temperature of 38.2 degrees, which is good. A second thermometer will be shown a little later. Choice recommends having 2 digital thermometers with an 8-inch or 3.15 centimeter stem that measures between -20 degrees Celsius and 200 degrees Celsius. These 2 items are an Erlenmeyer flask, its cap, and a graduated cylinder. Choice recommends a 2,000 milliliter flask and a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder. The flask is used to mix your extender with the distilled water. Once mixed, the flask should be placed in the water bath and ready to use once it reaches 38 degrees Celsius. The flask is used to pour the extender into the graduated cylinder for measuring the proper amount. The AI bottle is filled from the graduated cylinder. This small metal piston is used to push the thawed semen out of the straw. There are 8 items shown in this picture. A small funnel used when pouring the extender into the graduated cylinder and the AI bottle. A timer to time the thawing of the frozen semen straws. A second thermometer that is kept in your Erlenmeyer flask. A pair of scissors used to cut off the tip of the frozen semen straw. A package of extender. Any extender will work. Choice recommends Minitube's CryoGuard Thaw extender. Be sure to follow all mixing directions for the extender you choose. Next is a bottle of distilled water used to prepare the extender and for cleaning. A bottle of 70% alcohol used for cleaning when your work is done. And a small beaker that is optional and can be used to pour extender into the AI bottle. This picture shows a scale for measuring. Choice recommends using a 6,000 gram scale. Also shown is a microscope slide warmer used to warm the microscope slides and slide covers. The slide warmer should also be kept at 38 degrees Celsius. And finally, a microscope. The microscope should include a 4 power, 10 power, 40 power, and 100 power lenses. These are microscope slides and slide covers. Once warmed, they are used when evaluating the extended semen. Here are the AI bottles to be used and their caps. Also in this picture are pipettes. Choice recommends using an extra long 6 milliliter pipette with a bulb draw of 2.3 milliliters. Choice recommends using PC AI rods similar to the ones shown here when inseminating your sows with thawed frozen semen. Now that we have seen the equipment needed for thawing frozen semen, we will go through the actual process of thawing and extending frozen semen. The first step is preparing the extender, which will be used in making the AI dose. As a reminder, anytime you are working in the lab area, be sure your hands are clean and you are wearing clean clothes. On mornings when you will be using frozen semen, the water bath must be turned on and your flask with distilled water must be placed in the water bath. The flask in this picture has 1,000 milliliters of distilled water in it. They must each reach 38 degrees Celsius before you can make your extender and prepare an AI dose. Notice a thermometer is placed in the water bath and in the flask with distilled water. This is also a good time to turn on your microscope slide warmer. The warmer should be set to 38 degrees Celsius. Place 2 or 3 slides and slide covers on the slide warmer. Depending on how many AI doses you are preparing, you may want to put several slides and slide covers on the warmer. Doing this first allows you to do some work while the equipment is warming. Once you are ready to begin thawing and extending semen, your equipment will be ready. When the water bath and flask have both reached the temperature of 38 degrees Celsius, and you are ready to make your extender, remove the flask from the water bath and begin adding the package of extender to the flask. In this video, 1,000 milliliters of distilled water is mixed with one 50-gram packet of Minitube's CryoGuard Thaw extender. Be sure to follow the mixing directions for the extender you choose. Once all of the extender has been placed in the flask, replace the cap on the flask and begin mixing the extender with a swirling motion. When the extender is thoroughly mixed in the distilled water, Place the flask back into the water bath to maintain the proper temperature of 38 degrees Celsius. Now it is time to get the frozen semen straws from the liquid nitrogen tank. Start by putting on all safety equipment, which includes your lab boots, cryogenic gloves, and safety glasses. Next, you will prepare your transfer box for moving frozen semen to the lab. Open the liquid nitrogen tank. Using the scoop, place approximately 5 centimeters of liquid nitrogen in the transfer box. Next, raise the goblet holding the frozen semen you need from the tank, being careful not to raise it above the freeze line in the tank. If the goblet is raised above the freeze line, the semen will begin thawing too soon, which may affect your success. Using the tweezers, begin pulling the straws from the goblet and placing them into the transfer box. You will need 10 straws to prepare 1 AI dose. Never remove more than 10 straws at a time or prepare more than 1 AI dose at a time. After you have placed 10 straws in the transfer box, lower the goblet back into the tank and close the lid. Place the lid on the transfer box and move to the lab. Take the transfer box to the water bath with all safety equipment still on. Use the tweezers to remove the straws from the transfer box and place them in the water bath. Only remove and thaw 3 to 5 straws at one time. Thawing all 10 frozen semen straws may be done in 3 or 4 batches. Begin using the timer. It only takes 30 seconds to thaw the frozen semen. At the end of 30 seconds, remove the batch of straws from the water bath by hand and place them on a dry towel or paper towel. Make sure that all straws are completely dry. Repeat this process until all 10 straws are thawed and dried. Next, remove the flask with the prepared extender from the water bath. Using the funnel, pour approximately 70 milliliters of extender into the graduated cylinder from the flask. Then place the flask back in the water bath to maintain the temperature. Again, using the funnel, pour the extender from the graduated extender into the AI bottle. You can use 60 to 80 milliliters of extender to make 1 AI dose. Now that your extender is in the AI bottle, it is time to add the semen. Looking at the semen straw, one end has a small ball in it and the other end has a cotton stopper. Using the scissors, cut off the end where the small ball is. Cut as close to the ball as possible so you do not waste any semen. Now take the small metal piston and place it at the end with the cotton stopper. With the straw over the bottle, use the metal piston to push the cotton stopper down, forcing the semen into the AI bottle with the extender. Do not push the cotton stopper out of the straw. Only push far enough until you see the cotton stopper barely coming out of the other end of the straw. Then stop. Repeat this process until all straws have been emptied into the AI bottle. Once all straws are emptied, place the cap on the AI bottle and rotate the bottle slowly to mix and suspend the cells throughout the extender. To evaluate the semen, you will use the microscope and the microscope slides and slide covers that you have previously warmed on the slide warmer. Before evaluating the semen, you must first rotate the bottle slowly 3 or 4 times to resuspend the semen cells. Take a slide from the slide warmer and place it on the microscope shelf. Next, remove the cap from the semen bottle. Using a pipette, suck up a small amount of extended semen and place a small drop on the microscope slide. Put the cap back on the semen bottle and move it out of the way to prevent a spill. Then place a slide cover on top of the drop of semen. Move the slide under the microscope lens. Starting with the lowest power lens, focus the microscope on a clear view of the semen cells. With this lens, the cells will be very small. Now change to the next powered lens. The cells should now be large enough to see clearly. Use the next high-powered lens if necessary. As you look at the semen cells, you are looking for live and moving cells. Well, it looks like we have a good dose of semen and are ready to breed the sow. Mating the sow must be done within 50 minutes of making the dose of semen. You will not use the same evaluation criteria for percent motility as you would with fresh semen. Boar semen is fragile and motility after freezing will be less. If you see live cells in the microscope, you should use the semen. If there is no movement, the cells are dead and the AI dose should be discarded. Before making another AI dose, review the processes from start to finish to be sure you have done all steps correctly. When you are done thawing frozen semen, it is time to clean the lab. Keeping the lab as clean as possible is important. If it is not kept clean, there is a potential for bacteria to get into your dose of semen. That bacteria can kill semen cells and reduce the number of live cells in the AI dose. Begin by cleaning the Erlenmeyer flask. Any remaining extender in the flask can be kept in the flask and refrigerated. It must be used within the next 24 hours to make more doses. After 24 hours, the extender must be discarded. After emptying the flask, pour in a generous amount of distilled water and place the cap back on the flask. Swirl and shake the water around the flask vigorously to make sure you remove all residue from the extender. Pour out the water and repeat this step a second time with fresh distilled water. Next, place a small amount of alcohol in the flask and place the lid back on the flask. Gently rotate the alcohol around the flask, making sure alcohol touches all surfaces inside the flask, including the lid. Once done, pour out the alcohol and set the flask in a clean place to dry. When cleaning the thermometers, use a clean paper towel wet with distilled water and wipe down the thermometers. After both thermometers have been cleaned with water, use a paper towel soaked with alcohol and wipe down the thermometers. Clean the piston the same way as you did with the thermometers. Wipe down once with distilled water and a second time with alcohol. The funnel is cleaned in a similar way as the flask. Rinse the funnel thoroughly 2 times with distilled water. Then use a small amount of alcohol to rotate slowly around the funnel to make sure the alcohol touches all surfaces of the funnel. Wipe down the rest of the lab area with alcohol to clean up after use. This can include the countertop, the microscope, the scale, and the slide warmer. To summarize our training video on thawing frozen semen, using frozen semen is a safe and effective way to update your genetics. Using choice frozen semen gives you access to genetic nucleus level semen. Always have clean hands and wear clean clothes when working in the lab area, and keep the lab as clean as possible. Follow all steps as explained in this video to have success using frozen semen. And lastly, mate the sow within 15 minutes of making your AI dose.